So we are very much a partner with Prime Minister Netanyahu in leading the country where it's going, and everything that I'm going to say from now on, I would like you to hear in that context. According to the majority of Israelis in Israel today, the two-state solution is no longer viable. No longer viable, and it would be unrealistic for the EU, for the Americans and the international community to keep going down that path that has failed for the past 20 years. And they've called it many different things. It started as the Oslo Accords. We called it the tenant plan, Annapolis, the roadmap. It's all been the same mistake. Mistake of hoping that if we give the Palestinians control of Judea and Samaria, then we will be able to broker a peace deal. The first is stop calling Judea and Samaria occupied territories. Calling them occupied territories is totally adopting the Palestinian narrative in the conflict. The release of terrorists that we were asked to release in this last negotiations with the Palestinians, the last round, it's not that we were asked to the end of the conflict. This is part of what the Palestinians need in order to have a peaceable coexistence from now on. No, this is just to have a talk with Abu Mazen. We had to let terrorists go. This is insane. This is something that no other country, none of your countries would ever agree to allow terrorists, proven terrorists who killed people, killed your citizens, to be allowed back out in the streets when there are proven statistics that many of these terrorists go back and will kill more of our citizens, again, only for the pleasure of having a sit down and talking about peace. That is a double standard. Boycott. The European guidelines that say that there should be no produce from Judea and Samaria bought or any kind of economic incentives for anything coming out of Judea and Samaria. Do you know who you're harming when you do that more than anybody else? Does any of you know the exact statistic? And I'm about to give it to you. The number of Palestinians who are employed in Judea and Samaria by Israeli industry, I think the number will astound you. And this is a number that I checked with the Economics Ministry of the State of Israel. 24,600. 24,600 Palestinians are given their livelihood because of Israeli industries in Judea and Samaria. You boycott those industries, the first ones to get hurt are the Palestinians who won't be able to bring food home to their children. Their livelihoods are dependent on that money. There are 350,000 settlers, you call them settlers, living in Judea and Samaria. If you're going to include East Jerusalem, it's 350,000 more. So we're talking 700,000 Jews living in areas of Judea and Samaria and East Jerusalem. They are not going to be uprooted. We tried this in the Gaza Strip in 2005, and we saw that all that we received in return is Hamas bombing of southern Israel. So we're not going to do that again in Judea and Samaria. Therefore, start internalizing that the two-state solution, like I said in the beginning, is no longer viable, no longer realistic, and start thinking with us outside of the box of what alternatives may be. The people in the national camp on the right-hand side of the political map in Israel are all talking about annexing parts or all of Judea and Samaria. We're talking about at least area C, where 100% of the Israelis, the settlers, live in Judea and Samaria. We're talking about annexing that area and giving only 3% of the Palestinians. There are 2 million Palestinians living in Judea and Samaria. Only 3% of them are in Area C. If Israel annexes Area C, we now have a solution where all of the settlers are part and parcel of Israel, and the 3% of Palestinians living there, we will give citizenship to vote for the Knesset, just like Arab Israelis have. They will be allowed to vote for Knesset. They will be part and parcel of Israel. Mr. Barghouti's calling me a racist or a fascist would be true if I hated Arabs. If the things that I was saying to you today was because I had an intrinsic racist bias against Arabs as a nation, and I do not. I don't think that anything that I said here today proves that fact. I do take issue with people who want to kick me out and take my land. I do have issue with people who use terrorism against my children and citizens in order to achieve their national aspirations. Yes, But that's not racism, that's just common sense, Charles, right? We were talking about common sense. And the international community would take all the money that it pumps into the conflict right now, raise their standard of living. I want everybody to have proper lives. If we start thinking about it these ways, I think it's much more realistic than walking down the failed paths of the two-state solution. The European Union and their leadership and the American leadership are being unrealistic about what is achievable in the Middle East. And this is something that, surprisingly, Charles and I agree upon. He said that the territory, or ceding of territory, is not what's going to bring about peace. Territory, land for peace could never succeed. That's what I said before. It's aspirations that need to be changed. The aspiration of the Palestinians that they are going to take over Judea and Samaria, and they are going to annihilate the state of Israel, has to be changed. We can give them proper lives alongside us. I want the Palestinians to have proper lives in Judea and Samaria, and I want them to thrive there alongside me. The fact that they're going to have their own national sovereignty there was never realistic. We have to start getting away from that, and then we'll be on the right road to peace.